Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Us77SC's channel's first TvT matchup between Empire Happy, the yellow Terran spawning at the bottom left, and his teammate Empire Kas at the top right. So, this matchup is a best of 5 from the Antec Attack number 19, which means, if you guys saw the Slivko versus Hyunmir matchup, which was a ZVZ, it has a prize pool of 125 euros to the winner and 75 euros to the loser. Pretty nice disparity there. So, Happy is a Russian Terran player, Kas a Ukrainian, two very solid overall Europeans, and they're going to be facing off here in a pretty epic TvT. I do hope, because this is going to be played out on Tal'Darim Altar, so it's quite a large map. I believe still the ladder pool's largest map. Correct me if I'm wrong. That new one is pretty big, but I don't think it nearly as much as Tal'Darim Altar. It just has such a long distance from your base to your opponents. So, since we have two Terran players, I would anticipate this to go really far into the late game. I personally think at least one of these players is going to go for a Marine Tank Medevac play, because that's very strong against an opposing Terran. But you never know. If they get to the late game, I don't think they're just going to stick to that basic composition. So neither of them opting to wall, as they're playing against a Terran on the largest map on the ladder pool, so I don't think that's exactly necessary. Happy is getting his gas a little bit faster than Kas is, so perhaps he'll go for a fast Marauder just to take some map control of the Zelnagas, or maybe even tech up to siege tanks extremely fast, or some Hellions for harass. That is viable. But on the contrary, Kas is going for a fast expand. And that is really what I was touching upon when I said this is a TvT on a large map. Expansions early game, because Happy is not really going to be able to take down Kas with a strong timing too early. Kas is going to have enough time to establish this natural, I can assure you that, unless Happy is going for complete all-in, pulling SCVs off the line, which would be maybe the only real timing he can pull off to win against this expand, because it's such a long attack path. If it were a Terran or a Zerg that Kas was playing, a Protoss or Zerg that Kas was playing against, we would not be seeing this, of course. We'd be seeing a wall. But now he knows that he can definitely afford to grab an expansion here and get himself ahead. Terran players do have SCVs, which take the longest to make, I would argue, because Zerg can produce multiple at the same time. Protoss can chrono boost. So Terran's real balancing factor is mules, but it's still very important to SCV up, because you can only call down a mule every so often. We're going to have just one Rax with no add-ons, and then a second Rax now coming for Kas. While Happy's getting this factory in the corner of his base, probably hiding it there so that Kas's scout would not see it. And he's going to build a bunker somewhere. Oh, he looks like he's going to try to go for a proxy here, but that's held off by Kas. He's able to pick off that SCV with the Marines, so now he's going to have to micro against two opposing Marines. He's popping two out now of his own, though, so as long as he can keep this one alive, he will not have an issue taking down this early pressure from Happy. So that is a pretty intelligent, not going to call it cheese, I would just say early pressure from Happy, just to try to deny that expansion, but nicely done by Kas to be able to hold it off. And now this SCV scout is going to run in, and let's see how effective the factory hidden can be. So Kas is going to see just the one gas and get picked off by the Marine. So he does not know that Happy has Hellions coming out of his factory and a starport on the way. That is very, very smart by our Russian Zerg player, and now he will grab an expand. So still quite fast for a Terran, and not too much behind his opponent. He's only 3 harvesters behind. Even though Kas is producing a lot now, Happy's not really going to lose too much of an edge because of the expansion timing. And now he will run in this Hellion, likely with hopes to pick off some workers at the natural, but there is a bunker here that will deny any sort of a Hellion harass, and it will pack a punch against Marines. Excuse me. But, I mean, ultimately, it'll fall pretty quickly. So at this point, Happy's just using it for map control. You often see that with Hellions. If their initial harassment is over, which it is for Happy because it never really could happen as a result of the Marines in the bunker, then Terrans tend to use Hellions for map control, even if keeping them alive as long as possible is always the objective. You'll see that a lot against Zerg, but it's definitely viable here against Terran because of their very fast move speed. So we already see a pretty quick medevac here coming from Happy. His base only now finishing is natural, so it did take quite a while. He's now 9 harvesters behind, but will likely catch up pretty quick with his natural finally established. He is getting siege tanks with the siege tech upgrade and trying to drop here. He has 3 Hellions. I think he's going to try to drop them into the main if he's not able to do it at the natural. And where exactly? Oh, there's all of Kas's Marines. I think he was trying to deny a potential drop in the main, predicting it. But here are the Hellions getting microed quite well from Happy. He picked off that mule, which is pretty big because, again, like I said, that's the balancing factor for Terrans in general, is mules to gain extra mining time. And Happy, having been behind on that base, even though he has established it now, wants to try to deny any sort of advantage that Kas may have. So there is a 15 population disparity right now, and Kas is only now teching up to his factory. He does have 4 Raxes, but there is going to be a Hellion drop in the main. How much damage did that do? A total of 4 workers killed. If we discount the scout, that's 3. So not too shabby from Happy, because the consequences of that is Hellions are none of them are dead, to my knowledge. And, well, no, none of them are dead because there's 1 unit killed, and that was an SCV. So he hasn't lost a single Hellion and was able to just pick off a few workers. Now Kas gaining map control with his mass Marines and Stimpak on the way for him. He has 4 Raxes producing, and look at that. Like I said, he's just going heavy Marine. I think he's just grabbed the tech lab on this barracks just to get upgrades. Well, researches more specifically, rather than Marauders. So we'll probably see that Marine tech medevac. We do see that from Happy. That's the kind of tech route he has established. He has his tanks, he has his Marines, and he's already has a medevac on the field with those Hellions, which he's now going to drop again, running them in here and doing a lot of damage. Even popped 2 Marines in there, and so Kas is going to lose quite a lot of SCVs, but now he's forced Happy to overcommit because, well, the medevac went down, so Happy pretty much has to lose these units. So he did actually take out, I believe, what was that, 6 workers, 5 workers? The resources lost, though, is favoring Kas, because Happy's lost more because he did lose that medevac, but he's going to be grabbing a Ninja Third. So if we look at the income tab, only 4 harvester difference, but now that the third has been gotten from Happy, he is behind in population, but as soon as he can get a strong economy under his belt, that will definitely bounce him back into this one. And I have to say, don't let this 30 population difference fool you, because he's strong in this one. He just is now getting himself established, because a lot of his units is 4 tanks, but about 1/4 of the Marines. There are actually quite a lot on the field there from Kas. He's just going heavy Marine. I don't know if we're going to see any of that. No tank play. So he's just getting Marine medevac, even going for an armory. So we could potentially see tank play. Maybe he'll pop down the tech lab and start getting into that, start going down that path to grab some tanks of his own. Look at how equal this is, though. Happy's stim is a little bit later, but he is getting combat shields and weapons level 1. His weapons level 1 a little bit behind, but combat shields ahead. And just, wow, it's a mirror matchup if I've ever seen it. If you've ever watched that Hyun or Slivko series, you'll notice that they had exactly pretty much everything producing, and these guys are teammates, so they practice with each other probably an awful lot to work on their TvT, so that's why you'd see something so identical like this. But the one advantage Happy does have is his tank count. He does have, that's 5 on the field, and that could make a difference against Marines, even with medevac support. So cost 30 population ahead. Let us look at the army value here. So he does have 71 to 40 army supply, even though most of that is Marines. Cost definitely extending his dominance across the map. He does not know about the Ninja Third, which could play out to Happy's advantage. Already has, but if this game progresses further, that could even make more of a difference. And Kas controlling 3 of the Zelnaga watchtowers. He's going to go for a mass drop here, 4 medevacs. but there is going to be a missile turret there from Happy, so very smart from him. My theory when it comes to harass is if you can dish it, can you take it? And one medevac's going to go down, a second just barely survives, so that's going to be an astronomical number of resources lost. Look at that, 1250 for Kas have gone down. So, as I just touched upon when he was flying out, when I harass, I have to always expect to harass, and I see that a lot in the pros. This is how I'm relating it. Some pros will put on a fantastic harassment, but when the same comes to them, they won't be able to pull it off. Now, Kas forced back by the siege tank line, like I said, proving to be fairly key. And now, because he hasn't seen any sort of a third, Kas is going to be convinced that his opponent is only on 2 bases and just now trying to establish the third. So Kas himself is probably feeling pretty good about this, even though he's actually behind 1 harvester, because his opponent's had a third mining for quite a while now. So that attempted drop definitely failed for Kas, and that has allowed Happy a way back into this game. Kas only now opting for his tanks, even though he's got, like I said, he was dropping that armory before he actually went for the tanks. He does now have 2, and there's 3 factories producing tanks. And so, like I predicted, Marine Tank Medevac all the way, both players going for it, but Happy is just not going to allow Kas to break his positioning. He's got a very nice siege tank set up, both players going for weapons level 2, Kas actually getting it ahead of his opponent, and he does have vehicle weapons level 1, and Happy is not invested in that yet. Now, siege tech only now coming from Kas. I didn't know he did not have that, but why is he trying to drop again? He knows that there are missile turrets, and he did lose a medevac, and Happy just defended that so well, but I don't know what he's trying to do here, because he's really going to have to pull this one off to justify it. There are actually an oversaturated number of SCVs at the main, but now Happy's going to hear his missile turrets firing and know that Kas is coming, but oh my god, a medevac's going to get picked off by poor positioning from Kas. He was idle for a split second, and now the game has pretty much been equalized. That's exactly what Happy needed, just to completely jump back into this one. His weapons level 2 and armor level 2 are finishing. Kas is going for 3, but only getting his 2 armor now. So, oh, that was, I don't know what he was thinking. 2850 resources lost. Like I said, just, again, trying to drop. But he knows that Happy's predicting this. So, Happy's constantly picking off medevacs with his missile turrets, and that's just making the world's difference in this game right now. As we can see here, the yellow Terran slowly regaining map control. And he actually has a hidden medevac up here. None of these Marines have recorded any kills yet, so nothing significant. But Happy's forces do have 2-1. So actually, he was getting his 1 armor. My apologies, I did say 2 armor a little while ago. I was a little bit confused because Kas had that coming, but Happy only had that one right there, that little disc. So he is now getting his 3-2. So he is behind in upgrades, especially that vehicle weapons. I don't even know if he started that yet. No, he has not. So that may play an important role late game for Kas, because he's going to have a bonus on his siege tanks. His siege tech was very late though, but if he can get a good siege up here, both armies going to engage. This is not going to be good for Kas though. So many tanks for Happy. He's only able to eliminate one of Kas's though. And it looks like Happy's going to lose one. Both players scanning quite a lot. And there goes 1 tank for Happy, 1 tank for Kas. So a pretty even trade-off. But now Happy's going to move in. This is a little bit of a commit, because he's going to be kind of cornered in here. The tank's going to lay siege to this planetary fortress. That's why the Marines pulled out. I was unsure for a second there. Kas maxed out. Happy with just 11 population behind. He's finally getting that vehicle weapons level 1. So there's Happy just sieging up all his tanks, but Kas is actually going to keep him closed in here. He has the bigger army right now and has a very strong concave with his Marines. He's going to eliminate all of these tanks. That is definitely another equalizing factor. Very nicely done from Kas, able to corner Happy in at his 4th location. So that, again, just the overcommit. Happy thought he could take out the base. He was unable to. Kas tried to drop, was unable to, and he just kept trying, and it wasn't worth it, because he ended up losing an awful lot. So as we can see here, the resources lost still favoring Happy, but I think that, actually, I know that Kas just dropped the 4th of Happy. Well, actually, I'll say the third because it was established first and took out quite a lot. Not too many workers, but he's actually able to destroy the base, and that's a crucial element here because now he's able to even out the number of bases. He did lose one, and they're now both mining off of 3, but he's finally... All this game is revolving around equalizing factors, and there we go. Happy getting a very nice engaged positioning. Both players scanning again, trying to eliminate each other's tanks, and it's going to be Kas that wins this little one. I would believe because of the 2 vehicle weapons, and now so Happy moving in, trying to see if there's any sort of a base here, but there is not. He only just sniping the refinery. So Kas is going to try to get his tanks up on the high ground. So I think it's been so back and forth. I don't know who's going to win this. It's going to be very close. But again, now Happy mass dropping into his opponent's main base. Some Marauders actually seen now. Just one here. I think that's about all. No, that's all Kas has. Maybe trying to eliminate those siege tanks. He just popped out a Marauder. But he is going to scan here and see that Happy's again sieging up a bunch of tanks. He's going to lose some units, but definitely take out a lot more than he's lost. So look at this population. If we had a graph, it would be the exact same all the while. Both players have dropped, I'd say, in some way, some drops were mediocre, some drops were fairly well done. Happy's does still have an idle medevac here with a handful of Marines and 3 more with 3 Marines in one of them. So I think the one big mistake Kas made was leaving that medevac there. He could have moved it away. It was just a delayed reaction time and he lost it. And upgrade wise, Kas just barely ahead, but he only has 2 vehicle weapons, and Happy catching up because he's grabbing his 2 vehicle weapons. Both players are going to have 3-3 on those Marines. So this has been a very long game. Both players able to just stick with the Marine tank medevac to perfection. Though Happy's kept a very strong defense at some of his bases with missile turrets. He did lose 1, however, because a nice drop from Kas. So there are going to be siege tanks engaged in the high ground. There we go. Kas actually getting some missile turrets of his own, but Marines just shredded by the tanks here. Both players losing Marines, but Kas losing a lot more, and his population is going to take a nosedive for a second there. Now equaling it out. He's only about 12 behind, but again, it's always the tanks surviving these battles. A lot of the Marines just go down, tanking the damage with their combat shields, and then dying, but really, Kas is getting a 4th now, re-establishing that. So too is Happy. So these 2 players, look at that, they're both getting planetary fortresses at the exact same time. Now Happy's going to try to drop this, but the PF is going to finish really soon, so unless he can get somewhat of a miracle here, he won't be able to take it out. So now he's going to know his opponent has a 4th. What does Kas know? He knows very little. He has not gotten enough vision on his opponent's force, I have to say. Happy has been a lot more mobile. He scouted this. He's got some Marines there. He is losing some soldiers, but look at how close that is. You do not normally see a resources lost tab that close. 16,000 to 15,000. It's been 24 minutes and neither player has really been able to get that stranglehold on their opponent. They've both sniped expansions, they've both traded, they both dropped, engaged with siege tanks, lost Marines, gotten fairly close upgrades, though Kas is actually now getting his vehicle weapons level 3, so the fact that he started his weapons level 1 a tiny bit earlier proved to be a pretty significant advantage. So he's actually getting building armor, Happy is, and a high-sec auto-tracking for range on his missile turrets and planetary fortresses while he's engaging from the high ground and just demolishing this planetary fortress. Mass repairs from Kas, but he's actually so low on resources, he has nothing left to repair this with, and he's running out of minerals at his natural, so this is going to be a high ground to low ground engage. Looks like it's going to be fairly even there, but Happy did quite a lot of damage draining those resources for mass repair, so I have to say if any player is really looking poised to take this one, it's Happy, though it's a very, very, very marginal gap between them. There is a lot of population now, but the fact that he was able to delay mining at that 4th for a good minute or 2 proved to be pretty significant. He's now jumped ahead 41 population, and he just keeps trying to engage this 4th base. Kas not really seeing this, but I think has he seen too much of it? No, but he's probably predicting that force there. Is he going to move in? No, he might have seen a Marine walking up, but now Happy's going to know that his opponent's right there. And look at that poor sacrificial Marine. Happy does not want to engage this. There are too many sieged up tanks. He's going to siege up his own and actually stim there, but there will be no engage. The tanks from Kas just moving up. There's only 19 population difference. Both of these players always teetering on the edge of max. But now Kas coming in here and trapping all of the SCVs, able to just eradicate them. 31 to 25 workers killed. So again, another close tab, but there are tanks engaging again from the high ground. The Marines are going to get dropped onto the low ground to eliminate some of the SCVs, though this planetary fortress is going to be able to do a lot of damage. I'm a little bit nasal today because I'm coming down with something, but hopefully it does not affect too much. Here's Kas trying to mass drop to the high ground, but there are a lot of tanks sieged up, just shredding everything on the ground here. Actually, no, that's Kas's tanks, my bad. There's a sensor tower here that provides some nice vision on approaching units. We're happy, and better close that one. That's what opened. Yeah, I pressed a random key at one point, and that it changed. It changed something, and I didn't realize what it was. So we actually do see Corvid Reactor, durable materials, and Seeker missiles. So we can actually expect some Seeker missiles from Happy. I saw him throw down 5 starports. I thought it was just for more medevacs. Turns out it's not. He's going for heavy Raven play. So that's starting to come up a little bit more in terms of Terran late game. You're seeing more Ravens. Seeker missiles really do pack a punch, and this Corvid Reactor is going to give them bonus starting energy, and durable materials allows the Seeker missiles to last longer. Also point defense drones and auto turrets. But this fourth has actually been denied. It was lifted. I don't know if it was destroyed or lifted off, but I've been focusing more on this natural engage here. But we do see Happy has a pretty intimidating siege tank force. Kas's army's kind of cut off. He's forced to split it in two. So Kas, if he loses this half, that would not be too favorable for him. And if Happy's able to get out enough Ravens, he could be to pack a pretty large punch. Now Happy moving in here, and he's losing this engage but winning this one, able to clean up the harassment forces. But Kas is going to move in here to the 5th base. How often do you hear the 5th base in TvT? Not very often. I mean, it does usually go into the 20 minutes, that matchup, but not usually this far. We're at 30-22 right now, so not sure where those Ravens are. I know that they are now on the field. I just don't know exactly where. We will have to wait and see. I know that they're being produced. Are there? Yes, there are actually 3 on the field, just hanging back there defensively. So this could be a pretty crucial engage here for Kas, because Happy is going to, if he's able to cut off the force and just bottle up the green Terran right here, then he will pretty much wipe out Kas, because Kas is also on 5 bases, but he's lost a lot of mining time at this one, and only now beginning to make this 5th over here. So he has been a little bit behind economically. Still a very close game, but he's going to lose a lot of Marines here to the tanks on the low ground. His lone medevac going down there to a missile turret, which has been pretty key for Happy. He actually does have the extended range and the additional plating, so he's able to really pick off medevacs when he needs to prevent drops. There are going to be 3 Ravens here moving in. Happy just has so many tanks. They have 3 weapons. No armor research, though, for either player. I guess it's just not worth the investment at this time. I would say it is, but they're probably more focused on different tech switches. So we have 2 engages right here. Kas slowly laying siege, but I think if Happy can just make this the decisive push, the game will be his. They're actually now Seeker missiles moving in. They have durable materials, so they're able to move faster. And there goes a medevac that was full for Kas, and another going to soon fall. There goes another medevac. So I think Happy is going to take this one. Kas is engaging from the high ground here. Actually, nothing left for him to shoot. I don't think he has too many scans offhand. This base has been denied or destroyed completely, and I think we can expect a GG fairly soon. I even had on Mori, who was one of the observers, I suppose. Yeah, there were a bunch of observers, probably casters for the Antec Attack. But this one's looking very solid for Happy. He's going to drop a couple auto turrets, losing some of those Ravens, but Actually, Kas able to invest in a couple of Vikings, but there we go. He GG's, and wow, what a game, ladies and gentlemen. 33-21. You may have seen that there, but nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. Definitely a great game to start off my TvT casting career. Expect a PvP series after this one, but most importantly, expect Game 2. Happy up 1-0. See you guys.